Dr. Tom Roselle live right now, 630 WMAL.
Welcome to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. I am live in the studio, 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-WMAL. Love to take your phone calls on anything you'd like to talk about. I'm going to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart, taking control of your life. That means you taking control of it. And we're going to talk about food and exercise today, something that I think all of us need to know a little bit more about. But nevertheless, let's do what you want to do at 888-630-9625. Want to remind you off the top that Thermography Centers of Fairfax is giving you one more day. That's tomorrow. Ladies, if you'd like to take advantage of Breast Health Month, which is February, tomorrow's the last day of the month, you need to call Dareth Painter at 703-943-7248 and schedule for a thermographic examination of your breast. Thermography will show up cancer cells 5 to 8 years in the initial stages before they will even show up on mammography. So why not act now, get it done, make sure that you have the ability to do something about it before you have only two options of chemotherapy and drugs. So give her a call, 703-943-7248. And why should you do that? Because there's a reduction. There's about a 20% savings. Normally $225. She's offering it to you for $198. Listen, if I were you, don't wait. Pick up the phone, 703-943-7248. We're talking about spring has sprung, and you need to as well. You need to take control of your life. You need to experience life at its ultimate this year. You need to get out there. You have to begin to understand that health is a do-it-yourself program, and being healthy is something that you have total control of. Nobody else does. You have control. So what about changing your life? What about taking where you are right now, take the first step, and a beautiful day like it is today, getting outside and do something that might actually allow you to live longer. So let's start it out by saying simply this. You've heard me say it before. I'm going to tell you again. If you do nothing more than get out and walk 2 miles every day, I don't care how slow you start, I don't care how fast you are. If you didn't do anything more than walk 2 miles every day, you will decrease your risk of dying of any disease whatsoever, any disease, by 50%. That's the actual statistics. Get outside, and guess what? Your diabetes will go down, your heart disease will start mitigating itself, your body fat goes, south, your energy goes up, your mind gets clear, you begin to relax. Just walk. That's all you have to do is walk. And we're going to talk about walking. We're going to talk about a little bit more about exercise. We're going to talk about the foods that you should be eating today. All kinds of things that will make this spring the beginning, the basis, the format, if you will, the springboard into something that may be very, very different. Forget about January. We talked about goal setting. We talked about how to get leverage on yourself, the emotional piece that you have to do. But now's the time. Now's the time to put up or shut up. Now's the time to get out there. Now's the time to step in front of that mirror and take a look at that body and try to move your limbs. And sometimes you can't. The pain's there. The immobility's there. You haven't done anything so long. You haven't even put your nose outside all winter long. Well, this is the opportunity. Don't let a day like today go by without doing something that is extremely, extremely proactive relative to starting the process. As the show goes on, I'm going to talk to you about cancer's favorite food, something that you need to know about and something that you can avoid and starve it to death and begin to change things in a very proactive way. Cancer's favorite food. We'll talk to you about that as we go. And we're going to talk about winning at weight loss, an incredibly important piece. So jam-packed today, all kinds of stuff. But let's talk about being healthy. Let's talk about it's actually a revolution. I can list 100 different reasons and ways and things, but you have to understand that it is a self-positioned revolution, being healthy. Okay, so what do we want to talk about? We want to talk about the truths about it. There are many truths about being healthy, and some of them are hallucinations. First of all, what you have to understand is that our lifestyle in this country is absolutely out of control. It's crazy. The United States currently produces more fat people, chronically ill people, depleted people than any place else in the world. And yet we produce the most, we have the most opportunity, and guess what? It's getting worse. They're not getting better. 2 out of 3 Americans in this country are overweight or obese. 66% either overweight or morbidly obese. You know what that does? That increases cancer, that increases diabetes, that increases heart disease. And so many of us say, oh, well, I have to take these pills for what, the rest of my life anyway? And then we look at our children, and children are becoming dependent on drugs and at very early ages. We're telling kids that they're ADD, ADHD. We have a lot of adults who are doing that as well. So enough already. Enough. We have to stop something. We have powerful, powerful social, economic, and political forces around us that kind of want us to stay where we are. You've heard me say before that Big Pharma doesn't want you dead. They just want you at a place where they can maintain you for the rest of your life. Our culture didn't get unhealthy by accident. It truly didn't. From the stuff that you're eating, all the sugar sodas, coffee, teas, fast food, fried foods, alcohol, junk that you put in your body, to the pharmaceutical companies, to, other interests that are making huge amount of dollars off of your sickness or your inability to be well. What's that all about? How come? These guys are there to take advantage of your pocketbook. That's right, I said that. Take advantage of your pocketbook. They have an agenda. Their agenda is to make money, and they cloak it in a way that says, well, we want to take care of you, you sickly, fat, obese type of person. We have to do something. So their message, is one that takes away from your health, but they cloak it in a way that it's appealing, it's cool, it's fun, it's, take these pills. And, some of the advertising that I see out on the media, whether it's a bulletin board, a magazine, but particularly on television. You ever see these ads? I mean, they're so great. They lock us in. They get our attention. And we almost feel guilty that we're not taking the drug that they want us to take. So the time for complicating things is over. We've got to stop. We have to begin to change the way we think about stuff. Remember, there's only 3 things that cause anything: injury, biochemistry, all those things that come from the outside that go inside of you, and then the third is how our brain works. So we have to begin to stop. We have to take action. We have to begin to explore differences, little things, one step at a time, and really understand that when you make that decision to be healthy, but not only healthy, but to seek wellness, that things will change for you immediately. That if you do nothing more than make a decision to drink water every day, you make a decision to not eat refined foods every day, you make a decision to start taking the sugar out of your diet, just those things will begin to change dramatically how you feel. And we're going to talk about that today. 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-WMAL. I'd like to go to the phones. Maria, how can I help you?
Yes, hi, Dr. Roselle. I really appreciate your outlook on health and disease. I listen as much as I can.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And I have a question. It's not about exercise. My husband, who has been thin all his life and since retirement has been walking a lot, just developed this inguinal hernia.
Inguinal hernia, yes.
And the doctor says that an operation is how you take care of that. And I was wondering if you had any other alternative treatments. Is there anything out there besides an operation?
It depends on how severe the hernia is. If it's small, about the tip of your finger, there's things that you can do. But if it's much larger than that, the risk of not doing something about a hernia is that the intestinal tract pushes through. That's what you're feeling when you touch the hole that you have this bulge in. That's the intestinal tract trying to push its way through. And sometimes it can turn on itself. And if it turns on itself, it can strangulate. In men, there's 2 types of hernias that can be severe. The one that goes right through the abdominal wall is not a major problem, but there's one that'll break through the lower portion of the pelvis and go into the testicle. And if that happens, then that can really turn and cause some severe problems. Now, in that situation, I'm going to tell you that he really needs to have surgery. But if it's a small hernia, it depends on his weight. If he's overweight, he needs to take the weight off.
He's not. He's always been thin.
Okay, so then how big is the hernia?
I don't think it's a pencil thing. I think it's a little bigger than that.
Okay, so he's not in a crisis situation at this point. He can wear what's called a truss, and these are pads that are pushed against it. He can do some fascial work where you can stretch the fascia, the covering of the muscle, so it begins to lay flat, and then put a retaining brace over it. Sometimes the tissue will begin to heal up and not tear any further. If he is a athlete, if he goes out and plays racquetball or tennis or golf and so forth, he has a greater risk at this point of tearing that.
No, he walks.
Okay. Well, then that's, all those things that he's doing gives him the probability that this is not a crisis situation.
No, I don't think so.
And if it's not that big, first, if it was on me, I probably wouldn't do anything about it if I had your husband's lifestyle. But even knowing what I know with my lifestyle, because I'm extremely active, I'd probably think twice. Again, depending on where it is, the size of the tear, but you can do a lot of to fix that. Now, what I would suggest is that most people in our experience that have hernias are deficient in vitamin B12 and folic acid. That allows the fascia to maintain its integrity, its toughness. Mm-hmm. And so you would use that if that was the situation. And even if the blood tests say, well, it's normal, where you want B12 in most situations is at the high end of normal and sometimes a little over, because you got to push the stuff into it. It's not going to hurt, but you have to maintain relatively high levels. High levels of vitamin C as well will begin to help heal tissue. If it's a small tear, there are homeopathic preparations that also will help begin to mend and heal tissue. Arnica montana is one, and you can get that at any of the natural food stores. But again, it goes back to the integrity of the tissue. If there's any muscular imbalance, how we would treat that is that we would check the muscles around, the abdominal muscles, the abdominal obliques, the abdominal transversalis, the long muscles of the back, the diaphragm, the psoas muscle, which comes from the hip and goes up to the diaphragm, and we would balance those to take the stress off of the muscle that's tearing, and then at that point we would might see some significant amount of healing. Now, I'm not hedging. It's simply because I haven't seen his tear, and that would have to be in front of me to really make a clinical decision.
How about yoga exercises and balancing exercises? Would that be something he shouldn't do?
No, I don't think there's a problem as long as he has other muscles that are intact. He'll know right away. With that size of a tear, and we're talking about a small tear, if he does yoga and afterwards he palpates, touches the area, and it hasn't done anything to disrupt it, there's no problem.
That's okay. And what was the name of this Montana?
Arnica, A-R-N-I-C-A, Arnica montana. And you can get it at any store. That is useful for any injury, any soft tissue injury, anything that is a trauma to the body. It helps healing process dramatically.
All right.
Maria,
thank you so much.
Thank you for calling, and thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
Okay, bye-bye.
We're here at 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. Love to talk to you on any subject you have in mind. We're talking about exercise and diet as we go through today. I'm going to talk to you about cancer's favorite food and what you can do very easily to decrease your risk of getting cancer. And if you really understand this, you're going to say, oh, my God, really? And change your life. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. We're here at 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-WMAL. Love to talk to you. Talking about exercise. You need to be outside on this gorgeous, gorgeous day. It is beautiful. Take it while you can get it and get outside and walk. Remember what I said. If you walk 2 miles a day, you decrease your risk of dying from anything by 50%. That should be enough motivation for anybody to get off their butt and get outside, I would think, anyway. But we're talking about many different things as it comes to food and exercise today. We're going to take the patterns off of that. I want to remind you again, Thermography Centers of Fairfax, last day tomorrow to take advantage of February being Breast Health Month, ladies, and register for a breast thermographic imaging. Normally $225, now $198. If you call tomorrow, after that, doesn't happen. 703-943-7248. That's 703-943-7248. Let's go to the